What if I could tell you when an earthquake would hit? Unfortunately, I can't. But shouldn't you be ready anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait.
Hello, WEHA listeners. This is Lisa Diane Hall, General Sales Manager here at WEHA 88.7 and 100.3 FM, where we have gospel and we have talk. We'd like to thank you for listening and sincerely appreciate your continued support over the last 10 years. Thanks to all of you, WEHA is now a 2-time Stellar Award-winning gospel radio station with a recording studio right here in your local community. As the newly appointed General Sales Manager, it is my goal to share my 20 years of experience in broadcasting and marketing with your church, business, or organization. I am pleased to announce WEHA's new community branding partnerships, where you have the opportunity to be heard on all of WEHA's platforms, including 2 FM bands, WEHA WeHaveGospel.com, and all of WEHA's social media pages, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. WEHA is currently seeking new Sunday morning programming and new talk shows. For more information or to arrange a WEHA studio tour, you can reach me, Lisa Diane Hall, at WEHA Studios at 609-641-8870. That's 609-641-8870. WEHA is Christ-centered, community-focused, and listener-supported.
The second best thing about driving home is listening to WEHA. The best thing is getting there. And that's why I'm glad when I finally get home, I can listen to WEHA on my computer. It's easy. All you have to do is go to WeHaveGospel.com. Not only can I hear the station, I can also see what's playing at the time, as well as what has already played before. You know, sometimes I'll hear a song on the radio and I want to know the name of the song and where I can get it from, you know. And when I need to go to another website, I can always use the pop-out player to keep WEHA playing in the background while I browse the web. They make it so easy for me at WeHaveGospel.com. You got to check it out.
He leads me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. When you become a believer, your spirit is made right. But sometimes the soul doesn't get the notice. It has a hole in it due to things that's happened in the past, hurt, abuse, molestation. But we want to speak to you today and tell you that God wants to heal the hole in your soul. Some people's actions are not because their spirit is wrong, but it's because the past has left a hole in their soul. May this wisdom help you get over your past and remind you that God wants to heal the hole in your soul. I have my sister Leandria here. She's going to help me share this wisdom and tell this story.
Deliver me, 'cause all I seem to do is hurt me. Hurt me. Lord, deliver me, 'cause all I seem to do is hurt me.
Yes, sir.
Hurt me.
I know it should be finishing, but sing it for me 2 more times.
Lord, deliver me, 'cause all I seem to do is hurt me. Hurt me.
One more time.
Yeah. Lord, deliver me, 'cause all I seem to do is hurt me. Yeah. Hurt
background sing. Oh yeah. Deliver me. God, rescue me from myself, from my overthinking. Deliver me. If you're listening out there, just repeat after me if you're struggling with your past and say, let the Lord know. Just say, oh. He wants to restore your soul. Just say, deliver me. Hey, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven. Break it on down. So it is. It is so. Amen. Now when we pray, we want to end that with a declaration, a decree. So I'm speaking for all of you listening, starting here, starting now. The things that hurt you in the past won't control your future. Starting now, this is a new day. This is your exodus. You are officially released. Now sing it for me, Leandria.
This is my exodus. Yeah. This is my exodus. I'm saying goodbye. This is my exodus. To the old me. Thank you, Lord. And I'm saying hello. Thank you, Lord. To the brand new me. Thank you, Lord. Yeah. This is my exodus. I declare it. This is my exodus. And I decree. This is my exodus. This is my exodus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. For you and for me. Thank you, Lord.
Glory to God in here. Stand to your feet, everybody. A little worship we do at City of Praise. Watch this. Prepare for worship.
Prepare your hearts for worship. Prepare your hearts for praise. Let everything that's happened stand up and bless your name. Prepare. Prepare your hearts for worship. Prepare your hearts for praise.
All right, praise the Lord, everybody. This is Deacon Hawks, also known as El Presidente, on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning, almost afternoon, 11:45, is the time right now as you listen to the sounds of the New Life Community Sanctuary Choir featuring John P. Key, and that's off the 2008 Wow Gospel CD. Always a crowd favorite, always a classic. So glad to be with you. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Another day that the Lord and another year that the Lord has made. And we shall rejoice and be glad in it, from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same. His name is great and greatly to be praised in all the earth. His name is Jesus. And I thank God so much for just being here today as we get ready to close out the year of 2019. He didn't have to let us live, but I've been singing this song for the last few weeks. I'm glad to be in the service one more time, in the service of the Lord. I am so glad for you, our listening audience, and of course, I'm going to do some year-end housekeeping right now, and that's what I'm going to talk about for about a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes or so. And I want you to stay tuned because we have an awesome word coming from my pastor, Bishop Dr. Fred Jerkins II, Bishop Dr. Fred Jerkins Jr., rather, and he is the senior pastor of the Evangelical Full Gospel Fellowship Church, located at 521 Dowdy Road in Pleasantville, New Jersey. And we thank God for him and Shepherd Mother Sylvia Jerkins as well. But Bishop Jerkins, he preached a dynamic word on last Sunday to kind of put in perspective the Christmas season and the virgin birth. And I thank God that it was wonderful, wonderful, and I wanted to play it for you. As a matter of fact, this is a message that is always in season. Of course, we kind of gravitate to the virgin birth just at what we call Christmas time. But anyone that believes in Jesus Christ, his birth, death, burial, resurrection, anything pertaining to our Lord and Savior, our Yeshua, our Savior, it's always in order. So I thank God that I'm going to play it in a few minutes, and I want you to stay tuned and give a listen. His biblical reference and his word that the Lord has blessed him to give and to go forth with, it was amazing, and I thank God for it. We've heard it before, but we thank God that God has a timing and a season to all things. And now with many people going through and trying to get perspective on church and religion and even Jesus Christ, we thank God for those pastors such as Bishop Jerkins and those that dive deep in depth into the word, that can go forth and really provide some clarity where there is often murkiness and fog, if you will, and quite frankly, just misunderstanding. So we thank God for that. So we got that to look forward to in a few minutes. So just stay tuned. We're going to play the tape in its entirety. It's about 60 minutes or so. And y'all know Bishop Jerkins. He's a father in the gospel in this area. And we thank God that he is extraordinary, not only pastor, but theologian, amen, of the highest magnitude, and he knows the word. And that's what it's all about. Amen. So we're going to bring that too. And Hawks, you're going on and on. Yeah, of course, that's my pastor. It's a mighty poor frog that can't praise his own pond. But I thank God for the Jerkins family and their contributions to this area spiritually, naturally, and financially. And we thank God for their efforts and the lives that have been touched, the lives that have been saved, the lives that have been inspired and encouraged through the ministry that the Lord entrusted Bishop Jerkins and First Lady and Shepherd Mother Jerkins to undertake over 45 years ago. And we thank God for it. All right. Also, I want to talk to you just quick for a moment as we approach the end of course, WEHA, we thank God for all of you that have continued to support us in any kind of way possible through your prayers, finances, words of encouragement. We thank God that we are Christ-centered, community-focused, and listener-supported. We have gospel, of course. That's 88.7 FM and 100.3 Atlantic City. And we're more than music. We're ministry. But also, we're more than that. We're community. And we thank God that WEHA serves as not only a beacon or a light, but also a conduit to get comprehensive information from those who have the information and get them to our listeners, rather it be on the regular radio or rather it be on, as many of you are on now, Facebook Live and other platforms of social media. We thank God that we're able to give it to you in a real, raw, honest way. And we thank God that you, our listeners, have responded and let us know, whether it's on the street or a phone call or text or a comment on Facebook, that how much you appreciate it. So we thank God for that. And we want to continue, of course, to avail ourselves, my wife and myself and all of us, Lady Praise and myself and all of those that are a part of the WEHA family. We want to continue to be able to bring you the comprehensive programming that you have come accustomed to enjoy for over 10 years. Can you believe it? I still get excited. I still get in awe. I still give glory and honor to God when I think about the fact that we are still on these airways for 10 years. And I often kid and joke, and actually I'm not kidding and joking, but I often say, most people didn't give us 10 days, let alone 10 years. But we are still here doing the Lord's business, and we thank God for it. We're not novice to this. This is what we do, and we thank God that that it's been effective. Of course, needless to say that we have 2 Stellar Awards under our belt, and that's a segue to what I'm going to go into now. We are in the final round of voting to try to bring home a 3rd Stellar Award. We won back in 2013, as you all know, and 2015, which you all know. We've been nominated 5 times, and we have 2 wins under our belt. Not a feat to be taken lightly. We have many people that we've came in contact with that really, really understand and appreciate the significance of Hatton being able to bring home such a wonderful, prestigious, and noteworthy award, such as the Stellars, basically the highest honor that you can get in the gospel arena. And for us to get it 2 times for Gospel Radio Station of the Year in the small market category, again, it's just a blessing. What we need to do to try to bring it home a 3rd time, though, is we need you to go vote. I know many of you, I've been getting texts left and right saying I voted, been responding to Facebook saying that I voted, it's done and everything. But for you that, you might be like me, you do some things last minute, but your heart's in the right place. I need you to take your heart and your fingers and you can go right to our website, wehavegospel.com. Just click on wehavegospel.com and you'll see the Stellar Award icon come up, and just press that Stellar Award icon and vote. That's right. Vote for WEHA. We're in the small market category, and as long as you haven't voted too many times, as long as you are not in an area where they have already voted, you should be able to vote from your smartphone, your computer, all of the devices. You should be able to go ahead and vote. So go ahead and vote for your favorite gospel music station, WEHA. I believe that the voting actually ends either tomorrow or no later than Monday. I said the 30th, so I don't know if it's the 30th, like literally 12:01 on the 30th, which would actually be basically saying it ends tomorrow. So we want you to go ahead to WEHA, to wehavegospel.com, and vote the Stellar Awards for Gospel Radio Station of the Year in the small market category. All right, 88.7 FM, 100.3 FM, Atlantic City. And you'll go ahead and vote, and hopefully we'll win for the third time. In any case, it's just an honor and a privilege even to be nominated. But I would like to win again. I know, we won 2 times, but what they say, 3 times is a charm. And it's just a testament, once again, on the amazing work and the amazing commitment of WEHA over these last 10 years. There's some criteria even to be able to be nominated. First of all, most of your programming has to feature gospel music, which we check all the boxes on that because we're a 24-hour gospel radio station. So you hear 24/7 gospel music. Then also they encourage you to do a portion of community outreach, which we check all those boxes as well. So when you hear shows like In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon, and we thank God for that, the longest running show here on WEHA, and what a jewel that has been. And Dr. Thelma Witherspoon does it with such commitment and professionalism, and she's always in depth, does her research, and she brings topics to the airways that I wouldn't even thought of. Everything from, we just talk about the community stuff, but she's had on people from the Department of Labor and talked about medical issues. And then, of course, you have your light and fluffy stuff of fashion and teenagers doing wonderful things in the community, and schools that are opening up. And it just runs the gamut. I'd be remiss if I even try to kind of talk about it all, because I wouldn't bring justice to it for these last 10 years. But we thank God for it. And of course, we want our listeners to really, really be able to hear and understand, and thank God for shows such as that. Bishop John Gandy Live, thank God for his show, the in-depthness and the research. And, we have shows on here that they're not novice. They really, really do the research, and that's why they're able to bring you a show that has garnered in popularity, and most of all in information. And again, we thank God for that. And then, of course, all of our other shows we thank God for. So we thank God for you. So again, we do our thing when it comes down to community. We avail ourselves with public service announcements that everything that highlights everything from social issues to medical issues to social challenges and whatnot. And we thank God you can get it all here. Politicians have came and availed their platform on WEHA. We've heard groundbreaking announcements here on WEHA. And we thank God that, of course, I'm like many of you. Sometimes I listen and, I take it for granted, but you miss it when it's not here. And I thank God that we don't operate under the auspices of a threat. So we don't say, if you don't do this, we won't be here. But y'all know what the deal is. Anybody that's running anything knows that it takes money to do things, which is my next segue. So I talked about the Stella. Now I'm going to talk about money for a minute. WEHA, under the auspices of Spread the Gospel Incorporated, WEHA is a 501c3 nonprofit, meaning that we rely on the donations of the generosity of good people just like you. We always make the push, as you would hear other nonprofits, particularly at this time of year toward the end, because being a 501c3, we are a tax-deductible entity under the tax code. So we're a legitimate tax-deductible entity. So if you are looking for that last tax deduction for the year, consider WEHA. You can make a check or money order payable to WEHA. Make it right out to WEHA, or if you remember Spread the Gospel, make it out to Spread the Gospel Incorporated. And you can mail it to P.O. Box 1674. We have a P.O. Box. Ben had it. We always talk about the website, but we have a P.O. Box too because everybody don't do stuff online. You can mail a check or money order payable to WEHA or We Have Gospel Inc. To P.O. Box 1674, Pleasantville, New Jersey. P.O. Box 1674, Pleasantville, New Jersey, 08232. One more time, that's P.O. Box 1674, Pleasantville, New Jersey, 08232. Somebody said say it one more time because their pen wouldn't write. WEHA or We Have Gospel, whichever one you prefer, mail it to P.O. Box. Y'all got the pen right now? P.O. Box 1674, Pleasantville, New Jersey, 08232. Now, you can also go to our website, which is wehavegospel.com. Wehavegospel.com. And you can press the donate button and you can give what it is that you want to give. Now, I want to read, and I'm doing this on purpose, so y'all indulge me a little bit. I want to make mention of our mission statement. This is our mission statement that we've had basically from the inception of WEHA since 2009, 10 years ago. And I just want to read it to you if you don't mind. Okay, and in part it basically says, it is the mission of Spread the Gospel Incorporated to participate, reflect, inspire, support the diverse community by presenting a program service focused on the community's education, information, cultural, and entertainment needs. Spread the Gospel Inc. goal is to serve the whole and diverse community by achieving regional attention, exuding program excellence, and outstanding performance. Spread the Gospel Inc. is a nonprofit corporation that is organized under the Nonprofit Corporation Law for charitable purposes. This corporation is a nonprofit corporation and is not organized for the private gain of any person. The purpose for which this corporation is formed are exclusively charitable within the meaning of Section 501c(3) of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. So basically, that is our mission statement. It's not for any personal gain, and I will attest to it. I'm not complaining. I'm just making note. Definitely hasn't been for monetary gain. But let me say this to you, and I say that in jest, but y'all know I'm dead serious. It's just like any other nonprofit out there. Just because you're nonprofit, just because you operate under the auspice of a nonprofit and it's not for any self-gain or anything like that, it doesn't mean that the bills shouldn't be met. There are many nonprofits out there, I won't say the names, but there are many nonprofits out there that rake in millions, and their board of directors or their CEOs and all of them and all of their workers are compensated appropriately or accordingly, however you want to look at it. And the bills have to be met. The buildings have to be paid for. The employees have to be paid, or the cars or whatever that they drive to dispense the necessary resource to the community. All of that has to be paid for. And then you have your people that volunteer. And we thank God we have a mixture of both here at WEHA. We have paid staff, and they want their money every week or every 2 weeks, however they get paid. And then we have those faithful volunteers. Whatever category they fall in, it has to be taken care of. How do we do it? From the generous, supportive contributions of people just like you. Tower bills. We have 2 towers, both on the FM band. 88.7, which is 220. Y'all have heard this before, but again, I'm doing that last minute push, so please indulge me. Don't turn me off. Turn that radio back on. We have a tower, an antenna, 223 feet high. It's in New Gretna, on top of the old state police barracks. 223 feet high. We operate from the highest point on that particular tower. Needless to say, costs a lot of money every month, but we're committed. Also, we have a antenna on the 100.3 FM band that is housed in Atlantic City, and that's 100.3. That is 163 feet high in the air, and we thank God that we acquired that maybe a couple of years ago. And that's been nothing short but a blessing. Many of our listeners that live in Atlantic City and the Pleasantville area and some of the shore points, Ocean City and, places like that can hear us real good on the 100.3. And then, of course, you have the media, the social media outlets such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all of that good stuff, which there's bills associated with all of that. Comcast bills, Verizon, we're hooked to it all. And all of that, requires resources. So again, I'm making this last minute push, for you. If you're looking for that tax deduction, sow into WEHA, because we're about a good work in this part of the vineyard. We are here for real. We're not talking about the thing, we doing the thing. And we give God all of the glory because he promised to supply our every need according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus is why we're here. And he uses you. Because you might say, well, if he's supplying, for you smart Alex out there, if he's supplying, why do you need my money? Because that's your opportunity to be blessed. God is the source, but he will use you as a resource. I'll say that again. God is the source, but he will use you and bless you accordingly, respectively, as a resource. And some of your greatest blessings, as I don't have to tell you, my listening audience, have resulted as a result of you giving. So there's something to be always said about the law of reciprocity, sowing and reaping. And I thank God for it. So we want to encourage you. We're asking you, and we believe that this station has been a blessing to you. And if it's not been a blessing to you, it's been a blessing to someone you know. So please act in kind and be a monetary blessing. We know you praying for us. We already know that. You know why I know you praying for us? Ask me, Deke, how you know you praying for us? How you know that you praying for us? I know you're praying for us because we're still here. 10 years later, we are still here. And where there's 2 or 3 gathered in his name, touching and agreeing, he said he would be in the midst. If one can chase 1,000, 2 can put 10,000 to a flight. So all of those forces that may come against us, to God be the glory. He'll put them to a flight. Amen. When a man's ways please God, he'll cause even your enemies to be at peace with you. So I thank God that we serve a God that just is so awesome. And I thank God that I have a deeper commitment than I had in the past. And I always thought I had a real commitment. But when God is, hallelujah, when God, and oh man, I wasn't even going to go this way. But when God begins to take you through some things, you understand what I'm saying? And bring you through some things that should have counted a mere mortal out. But in his supernatural, omnipresent, he just turns that thing around and brings you through you can't help but to give him glory. You can't help to go to another level in Jesus Christ. You can't help but to trust him in the times where somebody else is saying, what's the use? And it's encompassing upon you, and I'm almost done, it's encompassing upon you to share your story. Not for your glory, but for God's glory. And he said in his word that if he be lifted up from the earth, he will draw, hallelujah, he will draw all men unto thee. And that's what it's all about. So it's some soul that's in despair, that's challenged. I'm not so impressed, from the things that I see from what it looks like, because you don't know what nobody is grappling with what they're going through, the challenges that they're experiencing, and the sense of not just urgency but hopelessness that they're dealing with. You don't know. But God, being a all-seeing, all-knowing, omniscient, omnipotent, he knows. Not only does he know, he cares. He cares. So we need you to really, really understand these things. And again, I'm talking about the year end and the money, that we desperately need. But one thing you won't hear me do, and I'm telling you, y'all, it's challenging. But I won't never threaten over these airways. I won't threaten. I won't be, if y'all don't do this, no, I won't do that. If God says, or let me know, or me and my wife to know, okay, this season has run its course, that's another thing. But I won't get on here threatening and all that. No, I serve too big of a God. Too big of a God to be threatening people, and if y'all don't do this, this won't work. No. Hallelujah. I'm believing God for greater going into 2020. I've had challenges like everybody else, 2019, particularly in these past 6 months. A brother done had some challenges, but I was singing this song, and I told y'all about it a couple weeks ago. The only thing that came to me was this old song we used to sing. I'm glad to be in the service one more time. He didn't have to let me live. I didn't have any sweet swelling words, any big profound, revelation or anything like that. But God gave me that when I started kind of recounting all of the challenge that I had just in the last 6 months, that he didn't have to let me live. But I'm glad to be in the service one more time. And I know that you are. Whew. Thank you, Jesus. God is a good God. Yes, he is. So anyway, recapping, Stellar Awards, go to wehavegospel.com and vote for WEHA in the small market category. I think you only have maybe till tomorrow, at the most Monday. So don't put it off no more. This is the final round. This is for all the marbles, and we want to bring home another Stellar Award. We want to bring home another Stellar Award. Now, I'm going to do something. You're going to hear a little bit of, you're not going to hear anything for about 30 seconds, because I'm going to actually go get the other two Stellar Awards so you can see what they look like. So indulge me for a couple of minutes. And don't forget, we have Bishop Jerkins, the Evangelical Full Gospel Fellowship Church, coming on in a few minutes. And he has an in-season, in-time word coming forth, the virgin birth. And anyone that knows Bishop Jerkins, he is a meat lover. He likes to delve into the meat of the word. And I thank God that he did just that, and really brought clarity and some perspective. And we thank God for him. So we're going to hear that word in a couple seconds. But let me go ahead and get these two Stellar Awards. I'm going to you won't be able to see them on the radio, but you'll be able to see them on Facebook. So give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So, for all you that are on live, this is what they look like. Okay, I don't know if my angles are right or whatever. Yeah, this is what they look like. Okay, and we won one in 2013. The 20. Yeah, Radio Station of the Year, Small Market, WEHA. And we have two. We won one in 2000. They're heavy too. 2013 and 2015. And we prominently display them right here in our studio. So if you ever want to come over and take a look at them, I see a lot of people when they're on the airways, they take pictures with them and all of that, and we welcome. We welcome you. We just don't want you to drop them or manhandle them or something like that. I should have them really in a case, but we build us a podium and we prominently display them right in the studio. And I want everyone to thank God for that because, again, it's a testament to the work of WEHA and the commitment for these last 10 years. So this is your last opportunity to vote for this year in the small market category. Also, and then I'm going to mention one more thing. Regarding the Stella Awards, big congratulations to my friend and brother and a supporter of this station, none other than Uncle Freddie. All right, that's Fred Jerkins III. We know him as Uncle Freddie, Freddie III. I call him Freddie III. And that's my friend and my brother. And Dark Child Gospel extraordinary, been doing it for many a year. And we thank God that his healing project, I mean, he is Billboard's #1 artist of 2019, which is a huge honor. To be the top of Billboard, that is simply incredible. Also, he is nominated for a Stella Award as well for his project. So we want you to go and vote, and I know he is on categories 5 and 10. Uncle Freddie, he is Dark Child Gospel, Uncle Freddie, categories 5 and 10. So we want you to please vote for Uncle Freddie as well, Dark Child Gospel, for his project and for his body of work. And I know this work that he did, particularly the latest one that he produced, was personal to him. And it was inspired, if I can say, and I know it's not no secret, to highlight cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness particularly. And he did this as a labor of love. I remember when he shared the vision with me. And, he said, don't say nothing. Freddie, he don't do a lot of talking. He's like, don't say nothing. And I wanted to say, well, if you don't want nobody to know, why you tell me? But he hadn't started it yet. And the next thing you know, he started this thing, and it's just garnered so much steam and so much fanfare, and people have been blessed by it. And I'm not surprised that it stayed #1 for so long. So, again, it was a personal labor of love to Uncle Freddie for reasons that he'll talk about as he wants to. But I thank God for him, and I thank God for that commitment. I thank God for that project and all of his success that he's garnered, not just for himself, but for other artists and all of that. Again, that's my man. I love him to life, and he's a silent supporter of this station, and I thank God for that. He doesn't make a lot of noise about it, but he do what he do, and I thank God for that. And needless to say, we thank God for all of our South Jersey. We just are inundated with so much talent, so many talented, anointed gifts are right here in South Jersey. I'm telling you, we don't have to take a backseat to anybody when it comes to the people in this area who the Lord has blessed with their musical gifts and talents, whether it's producing or singing or any of that. We are just so abundantly blessed in this area. And we're pleased at WEHA to play all of it. We play all of it. We don't cut anybody short. And I know in the bigger markets, you know, the major markets as they call, then they can't play them unless they are at a certain status, like top 20 or top 30 or something like that. You are not allowed to play it. And I thank God because this station, we recognize the gifts, their talents, the anointing, and we count it not robbery to avail it to you, give it to you on a 24-hour, 7-day, 365-day basis. We give you, and you'll hear all of our local artists, and you know, some have a lot of notoriety, some not as much, but needless to say, have excellent, wonderful, blessed, and anointed projects, and that's what we want to do. We want to showcase and highlight them. But again, to the earlier point, and I'm moving on, so don't forget Uncle Freddie. Categories 5 and 10, all right? And don't forget WEHA in the small market category, Radio Station of the Year. Now, one last thing. Again, and I'm being redundant on purpose because, you know, this is it. It's the end of the year. Need you to go to wehavegospel.com. That's right. Or mail a check or money order payable to WEHA or Spread the Gospel Incorporated and mail it to P.O. Box 1674, Pleasantville, New Jersey, 08232. There's no amount too small or too large. All right? Whatever the Lord lays on your heart, you know, whatever he lays on your heart, that's what I want you to do. All right? For all you that you just don't have no money, and for y'all that just ain't gonna get no money, I got that too. Just say a word of prayer for us. Say a word of prayer for us. We need your prayers because we want to continue to do greater. I was looking in the studio, and if you're on live, we have this little sign on the back. And you know something, I want to challenge. I'm not sure, but I was thinking about it. I'm always thinking about things, me and Lady Praise. I want to challenge. There's somebody out there on a donation basis. I want to build a background set here at the station. You know, I don't really know what it should look like or anything like that, but I want to have like a background so when you're on live, at least Facebook Live, you can see, you know, a nice background in the back. You know, we got the tapes showing and the studio equipment and all that, but I would like to have a nice set design. So, you know, I don't know, maybe I might reach out to some of the schools or somebody like that to help us build a nice background or something like that. That's been on my heart as well. So that's something that somebody can do on a volunteer basis. On a volunteer basis, all right? But I tell you what, if you volunteer and you do it and we decide to go with your background, every time we come on, which is 24 hours a day, and we're on live, they will see your creation. They will see your work. And you never know what God might do and open what door he might open as a result of you being obedient and you having a desire to be a blessing. I'm telling you from experience, your reward or your blessings, it may not always come the way you think. But God, I'm telling you, he will show up and he will show out. All right? So once again, P.O. Box 1674, Pleasantville, New Jersey, 08232. wehavegospel.com. You can go to the donate button and send your year-end tax-deductible gift to this station, and it will greatly be appreciated. God bless you. Thank you for listening to me for the last 30 minutes. I told you I was going to take 15. I took 30. Hope I didn't really leave anything out. Don't forget to keep it locked to your favorite gospel music station. Thank God for all of those as we prepare to bring the year to a close that support us in any way. All of those that have radio programs on here. The Sunday morning lineup is fastly filling up, thank God. And these are paid programs. We thank God for them, that they recognize the value in this station and they want to get the word out to people. And we thank God for them, the Bishop Hargroves that come on at 8:30 in the morning, and the Duncan and Rachel's that comes on at 9 o'clock, and Pastor Bruce that comes on at 10 o'clock, and Dr. Ken Applewhite that comes on at 10:30, and Shiloh Apostolic that comes on at 11 o'clock. My good friend Bishop Parrish, Bilal Parrish, who I just finished talking to, had a wonderful conversation with him. And he's been, as a matter of fact, he's been on from day one. And we thank God for that. And Union Baptist that comes on at 12 o'clock. Pastor Ezekiel Graham Bay comes on at 12 o'clock. Now, there's still room for you. There's still room for you. We have these spots that are occupied, but we have some spots that aren't occupied. I'm getting ready to play a tape from Bishop Jerkins right now in a couple of minutes. So needless to say, this is a spot that needs occupying. All right. So, if you have a show idea, and we have some spots during the week. We have Dr. John Regis, CEO of Reliance Healthcare, with many, many locations throughout this area. Been doing it for over 35 years. Comprehensive healthcare, where healthcare, their motto is healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. And we thank God for them. They come on every Monday morning at 7:30. Dr. Regis, the Reliance Medical Hour, every Monday morning at 7:30. A wonderful, wonderful, informative program. And then we have that comes on at 5 o'clock Monday afternoon. Jimmy Whitehead and the 5 o'clock Hour of Power. Jimmy Whitehead, and he has some phenomenal guests from all over the country that are talking about everything from cybersecurity to politics, and he brings forth the movers and shakers of the time. As a matter of fact, he introduced me by way of the phone, and he had on the air media mogul Kathy Hughes. And it was an absolute pleasure, particularly being a radio station owner, to be able to chat with her, and the words of encouragement that she gave me personally. I didn't take that lightly, particularly because when she said she got started, it was just her and her son living in the studio and all of that stuff. And, to hear her tell us, hang in there, keep it moving. And I thank God for that, because you have some people that say, "Oh, people don't listen to radio." People listen to radio. A lot of people still listen to radio, and I thank God for it. And particularly those that are not social media savvy, senior citizens. A lot of those people, they get their first information from radio stations such as this. I often reference Jeffrey Towers and Vermont Plaza and Inlet Towers and all of that. Hundreds of people. Even thousands that don't do social media, that rely on the radio. All right? So, with all that said, we're going to get ready to bring you Bishop Dr. Fred Jerkins, Senior Pastor of the Evangelical Full Gospel Fellowship Church of Pleasantville, New Jersey, 521 Doughty Road, Pleasantville, New Jersey. And we want you to listen to this word, the virgin birth, in its entirety. God bless you. Keep us in prayer. In Jesus' name.
greatest praise, the greatest praise, the greatest praise, the greatest praise, the greatest praise belongs to him. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Everybody stand up.
Glory to God, hallelujah.
Lift your hands up and praise everybody. All on the back, stand on your feet to the Lord. Lift your hands up and praise. Let's continue to praise the Lord. And thank God, hallelujah, for this day. Thank God for this day. Thank you, Jesus. I'm going to say thank you, Jesus. Thank you. You clap your hands and thank him right now. If you love the Lord, say thank you. Let us say amen again. Thank God for the praise leader. Thank God for the blessing of the Lord. Thank God for his very presence being in this house. Thank God for all of the visitors that are here. Our outreach ministry here in the midst of us from Atlantic City, New Jersey, who's under the direction of our pastor, Elder Dale Mobley, and his wife, Angela Mobley. Thank God again for you all. Amen. Today I want to talk about the virgin birth. After Elder Goddard had words to say, and after Evangelist Sister Hollis had words to say, I said maybe I should have called them up here to preach. Stealing words from my sermon, and they didn't know what I was going to preach. But I want to talk about the virgin birth today. Put a Bible in your hand. I want to jump right in the Word of God. Thank God for the Dr. Applewhites, both of them, both brothers. Give the Lord a hand clap. Explosion experience. It was an experience, wasn't it? Look around and tell somebody God was in this place. And tell them this, that God is still here. Tell somebody else God is still here. Still here. Do you have it? What I want you to do with me is read in Genesis, the first chapter, verse 1 to 5, and then I'll back up after I pray and read verse 1 to 3, because that's really where my focus will be. And when you have it, say, I have it. Let us read it together. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning was the first day. And may God add a blessing to the reading of his word. And you may bow your head with me in a word of prayer. Amen. Father, we thank you right now for your people. Thank you for your glorious presence in this place. We pray that you bless in a special way today, that you'll guide our tongue, guide us what to say on today. Bless your people, save somebody. We don't want to just stand up here and preach the word, but we want to see the result of the preached word. We want to see people touched and healed and set free in the name of Jesus. Do it in this place today. In Jesus' name I pray. And everybody say, amen. Notice with me before you sit down. Before you sit down, verse 1 to 3. And I want to say again, today I want to talk about the virgin birth of Jesus Christ. And that is going to be my subject. Notice verse 1 to 3 again, and I'll read it, but I want you to really focus in on it. It says here, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And you may be seated, and I'll read it again. Genesis 1, verse 1 to 3. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And notice in verse 2, if you will, it says here that the earth was void and without form. Void and without form. Let us say amen. And that darkness was upon the face of the deep. But God said in Isaiah, the 45th chapter and verse 18, that when he initially created the earth, he did not create it vain. He did not create it void. He did not create it in darkness. But he says in Isaiah 45 and the 18th verse, he said he created it to be inhabited. Therefore something catastrophic happened between verse 1 and verse 2 that caused the earth at this time to be void, that caused the earth to be without form, that caused the earth to be covered with darkness. I'm not going to deal with that now. I'll deal with that later. Perhaps if the Lord leads me to preach next week, I'll deal with it next week. Let us say amen. Notice, if you please, in the first verse, we are introduced to God. Everybody say God. Not just God, but God as the creator of the heavens and the earth. But notice it says, in the beginning, the scripture lets us to know right from the outset that God existed before the beginnings ever begun. Therefore, he pre-existed in eternity past. And this speaks to the eternality of God. God is eternal from everlasting to everlasting. God always was, and God always will be. He is the uncreated creator. Look at somebody and say, God always was, and God always will be, because he is the uncreated creator. And give God a hand clap right there. Notice it said here that God created the heavens and the earth. The first heavens is above the earth, and it's called the atmospheric heaven, and the atmospheric heavens, where the birds and the airplanes fly. And the second heaven, everybody say second heaven. The second heaven is way up there. Everybody say, point your finger like way up there. Yeah, point your finger way up there. The second heaven is way up there. Amen. Let us say amen. Way up there where God created, way up there where God created the solar system, where God created the planetary system. Amen. The planets that are in the Earth's atmosphere. Let us say amen. The solar system, the solar system, which are Jupiter, Mars, Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, Venus, and Mercury. And I want you to think about that for a moment. Think about our eternal, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, sovereign God created this vast universe. He told Isaiah the prophet that he did this all by himself. Can y'all say amen? Look at somebody and say he did it all by himself. Say didn't use nobody else to help him. There was nobody there but himself. Give God a hand clap right there. Amen. He created all by himself. Come on, somebody. And when you think about it, there are billions of galaxies. Come on. In the universe with billions of stars. Our sun is one of at least 100 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy is just one of billions of galaxies in the universe. The universe is a vast expanse of space which consists all of everything that's in existence. Let us say amen. Let us say amen again. Amen. Now let me say this. When I think about God and who he is, when I think about God and what he did, I said to myself the other day, I said, this is more than being awesome. This is more than being incredible. This is more than being phenomenal. What God did is supernatural. Touch somebody and say, what God did in his creation is more than being awesome. Is more than being incredible. Is more than being phenomenal. Say, it's supernatural. Say, what he did is supernatural, and give him a hand right there. It's supernatural. Amen. This is the supernatural created power of God. Amen. It is his creative power. It is the supernatural creative power of his omnipotence. Can y'all say amen? When you read the first 3 chapters of the book of Genesis, you see that this one creator God did not only create this planet Earth, but he created everything that's on this planet, and he created everything that's in this planet. Let us say amen right there. And you find on the 6th day, he created man and woman, Adam and Eve, as perfect human beings with a freedom of will. God made them co-rulers over this earth, gave them the orders for living the good life. He told them how to live the good life. Look at your neighbor and say, did God tell you how to live the good life? He gave them their orders. He gave them the rules. Can you say amen? He gave them the model, if you will, of how to live the good life. Are y'all still with me out there? He told them what to eat and what not to eat. If they eat from the trees that he showed them, he told them if they eat from the trees that bear the best kind of fruit, he said the right kind of fruit, he told them they would live. They would live the good life. Can you say amen right there? But God told them if they eat fruit from the tree that was the tree of good and evil, amen, he told them the very day in which they eat, they would die spiritually and ultimately experience physical death. That's what he told them. That's what he told them. Can y'all say amen? I said that's what he told them. And after God created man on the 6th day and had, come on somebody, giving them the orders. God ceased from his creative work and rested on the seventh day. Can y'all say amen? And it wasn't long after that, in a very short time, not many days later, Eve and Adam, through the cunning, slick talk of the serpent, the devil, sinned against God. Come on, by eating the forbidden fruit. And their eyes came open and they immediately began to understand good and evil. But they died spiritually and lost their relationship with God. They realized then, for the first time, come on somebody, I said they realized for the first time that they were both naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves, the Bible says, some aprons. Come on, somebody. In order to cover their private parts, or the private part of their nakedness. Come on, somebody. Amen. Then both of them, the scripture says, ran and hid themselves in the Garden of Eden, away from God. Isn't it strange how when we do wrong, rather than get right, we try to hide? Is somebody probably in here hiding this morning? Hiding this morning. Hiding out. Let us say amen. Some people didn't come to church because they're hiding. They hide. Everybody say they're hiding. But God knows the very secrets of our heart. God knew where Adam and Eve were hiding. God found them hiding in the cool of the evening. God didn't come in the heat of the day. I guess God had to cool off. Well, the scripture says, amen, in the cool of the evening, God found them hiding in the garden. But when God found them hiding in the garden, he didn't come there really to condemn them, but he came there, he met with them really in order to bring them back in a right relationship with himself. Come on, give God a hand clap. He's a God of grace. Tell your neighbor, God is a God of grace. And say, God is a God of everlasting mercy. Now tap somebody and say, God loves you. He loves you. He loves you. Yes, he does. He came in the cool of the evening. Before he came, God had killed a lamb. And he came, when he met with them, he killed the lamb for the purpose of offering a blood sacrifice as a substitutionary sacrifice for the sin that they had committed. And then God, after killing that lamb and offering the blood for their redemption, amen, as a substitutionary sacrifice at that time, then God did something. God covered them with the coat. The Bible said not with aprons. He didn't put a dress on them. He covered them with coats. Everybody know, hold your coat right now if you got a coat, man. He covered them with coats of skin from the clean animal that he had killed. Let us say amen. Look around and say, God will cover you. Amen. But I got to say this right now. Let me interject this. When he offered that lamb and covered them, shed that blood, it was really pointing to the day that he would come into this world and redeem us from all of our sin by offering himself as the Lamb of God on that cross on Calvary. Y'all need to give God a hand clap for that. That's what it pointed to. That's what it pointed to. And then God cursed everything and everyone that was involved and drove Adam and Eve, Adam and his wife, out of the garden, away from the tree of life. And God left two angels there guarding the tree of life, guarding the way back into Eden. He knew that now they had become sinners. And had they went back to the tree of life and ate of the tree of life now, they would have lived forever as sinners. So say, go down there, angels. Don't let them back in. Don't let them near that tree. Can y'all say amen? You can't trick your way back to God. You got to come back to him the right kind of way. Everybody say the right way. But that is not the end of the story. Aren't you glad that's not the end of the story? I said, that's not the end of the story. Tap somebody and say, that's not the end of the story. Say, I'm glad that's not the end of the story. Amen. Amen. Because in Genesis 3:15, we see number one, the first prophecy of the virgin birth. God, in his curse against the serpent, the devil, said this to the devil in Genesis 3:15. He said, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head. Amen. And thou shalt bruise his heel. Can y'all say amen? When God used the term her seed, he is saying that one day the seed of a woman will bruise your head, devil. Get ready for your bruising. Get ready for your whipping. That's what he told Satan right in the garden. Can y'all say amen? And he's talking to the devil. He's talking to the devil now. In Genesis 3:15, he's talking to the devil about the virgin birth. Can y'all say amen? The virgin, everybody say the virgin birth. He's talking to the devil about the virgin birth. When he says a woman, amen. Come on, somebody. He say about the seed of a woman. The seed of a woman, the seed of a virgin shall bruise your head. Come on, are y'all still with me? Amen. And everybody know that a woman does not have a seed. Say, tell somebody he was talking about the virgin birth. Come on, are y'all with me? This is the first prophecy in the Bible concerning the virgin birth of Jesus Christ. The seed in the virgin, the seed that will be in that virgin will be the very sperma of the Almighty God. Give God a hand clap right there. Come on, clap your hand. You see number two, the second prophecy of the virgin birth in Isaiah 7:14. It says there, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Everybody say Emmanuel. A virgin is a woman that have never had sexual intimacy with a man. And here in Isaiah, he gives you the one, or gives you one of the names that the virgin shall call that child, or one of the names that that virgin child shall be called. Notice what it says. It said, behold, and repeat it after, say, behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Clap your hand. Emmanuel means God with us. Touch your name and say, Emmanuel means God with us. The son that the virgin have will be God. Tell somebody, God with them, and clap your hands to his glory right there. You see number three, the third prophecy of the virgin birth is in Isaiah, the 9th chapter and the 6th verse. The scripture says, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And notice, if you will, notice the scripture here in verse 6. Come on, somebody. Said it gives us something here. It gives to us more details about who this virgin child really is. Did y'all hear what I said? I want you to remember that. In Isaiah 9:6, God, through the prophet Isaiah now, is giving us more details. Amen. He's giving us more details about who this virgin child really is. Notice again, Isaiah says, come on, somebody. His name shall be called Wonderful. That's who he is. His name shall be called Counselor. That's who he is. His name shall be called Mighty God. That's who he is. His name shall be called Everlasting Father. That's who he is. His name shall be called Prince of Peace. And jump up on your feet and say, that's who he is. Clap your hands and say, that's who he is. Tell your neighbor, that's who he is. Clap your hands and say, that's who he is. That's who he is. We see number 4, the fourth prophecy of the virgin birth. It is recorded in Matthew and in the book of Luke. Amen. God revealed the virgin birth to Elizabeth, her husband, the old priest Zachariah. And then he revealed the virgin birth to Mary. Of course, he got to reveal it to Mary because she's going to be wondering what's wrong if she starts feeling something moving around in her belly, in her womb. Can y'all say amen? And he revealed it also, the scripture says, to Joseph, who was betrothed to her, who was engaged to her, had never finished the marriage ceremony, never consummated a marriage, never had any sexually intimacy with Mary. And so God had to reveal it to Joseph. Amen. Yes. Amen. Let us say amen. Yes. The medical doctor, Luke, in Luke, the first chapter, verse 26 to 35. And he said, talks about the time when Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant with John. Y'all know John the Baptist, right? 6 months pregnant with John the Baptist. He talked about how the angel Gabriel appeared to Mary, who was a teenage Jewish virgin. Can y'all say amen? Come on, somebody. Most of you girls out there now, you wait till you're 21. But a girl in Jewish culture, once that girl, let us say amen, became of the age of 12, she was bar mitzvah in recognition that now she was an adult in her spiritual soul. She had an enlightenment now about the reality of spiritual living and spiritual relationship with God. Can y'all see me? So we asked 13 and 14 and 15, a girl was a young woman. Tell somebody, a girl was a young woman. Come on, somebody. All y'all with me in this place. So he told her, he told her, amen, he let her know. And this Jewish virgin, she wasn't just like anybody. She was a dedicated young woman. Come on. She was a worshiper of God. She was a servant of God. She lived righteously ever since she was a little girl. And now she's a teenager. She loved them. How many out there love God today? Say, Mary. Everybody say Mary. Shouting in this place, say Mary was a virgin. Say Mary. Although she was a teenager, say Mary was dedicated. Say Mary was a worshiper. Say Mary loved God. Give God a hand clap right there now. Amen. 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 And in the 6th month, and Luke, that's in Luke 1, 26 and 35. And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God unto a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man, engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Mary. Everybody say Mary again. Look around and say, y'all need to honor Mary. Come on, some say you need to honor Mary. Say you need to respect Mary, because God chose Mary. Everybody say Mary, Mary, Mary. And the angel came into her and said, Hail, thou that art highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. And behold, thou shalt conceive, and behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. And he shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Lord shall give unto him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever. Of his kingdom there shall be no end. Then said Mary unto the angel, How shall this be? How is this going to happen, seeing I know not a man? And the angel answered and said unto her, The Holy Ghost. Everybody say the Holy Ghost. The angel said, The Holy Ghost shall come upon thee, and the power of the highest shall overshadow thee. Therefore also that holy thing which shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God. Come on, somebody. Let us say amen. And in the book of Matthew, chapter 1 and verse 20, it says, But while Joseph, thought on these things, thought on what things he think about, should I marry Mary or not? Come on, somebody. I know we're engaged, but maybe she got another boyfriend. Come on, God wasn't her boyfriend. God is the creator. Look at somebody, tap somebody and say, God is not your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Say, God is the creator. Give God a hand clap right there. Amen. But while Joseph, thought on these things, behold, the angels of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost. Says Joseph, she's pregnant already, but don't worry, she don't have no boyfriend from out in the world. Give God a hand clap. She's been conceived. What's in her womb has been conceived there by the Holy Ghost. Amen. Joseph followed God's instruction, and when Mary returned to Joseph from the home of Elizabeth, amen, they both told each other the same story. They told each other how both of them had received a visitation from the angel Gabriel. Oh yeah, the angel will visit you now. Come, anybody out there got some questions in your mind about something thing that you want an answer for? Look at somebody and say, the angel will visit you. Say, God will send an angel, amen, to visit you. Amen. let me close now. Can I close it all right? Let me close. Let me close it. Let me close it with this. I'm going to close it with this. Amen. The prophecy of the virgin birth was fulfilled. Look at somebody. Amen. Say, finally, the prophecy of the virgin birth was fulfilled. And before I close, stand up and say, thank God for the virgin birth. Come on, thank God for the virgin birth. Thank God for the virgin birth. Thank God. Come on, say it. Thank God for the virgin birth. Amen. Amen. The prophecy of the virgin birth was fulfilled. Joseph took this teenage virgin woman, Mary, as his wife, knowing that she had been impregnated by the Holy Ghost. And on that day of delivery, when they could not find a place at the inn, when they could not find a place at the hotel, can y'all say amen? Come on, the Bible says, when they could not find a place for her to give birth, the Bible tells us they went down to Bethlehem. Can y'all say amen? Went down to Bethlehem. Everybody say Bethlehem. And they found a place. Tell your neighbor they found a place. They found a place in an animal stable. Come on, somebody. Can y'all say amen? They found a place. Come on, somebody. They found, everybody say they found a place. And Mary, the virgin, gave birth to Jesus in a stable. Come on, somebody. Amen. And laid him in the manger. That's where they laid him. They laid him in the manger. What is a manger? A manger was a trough that the animals ate from. Can you, everybody say they laid him in a manger, in a trough where the animals ate from. Come on, somebody. Amen. Laid the baby God in a trough where the animals ate from. Amen. Come on. Can you say amen? But let me say something right here. Amen. That baby, give me just a little note. Everybody say that baby. Say that baby. That baby. That baby was Emmanuel. Everybody say that baby was God clothed in human flesh. Everybody say that baby. Say it again, say that baby. Stand on your feet and say that baby. It was the first time in biblical history that divinity clothed himself in humanity. It was the first time in biblical history that God of eternity had become the man of time. It was the first time, everybody said that baby. It was the first time in biblical history that the eternal spirit took on a human personality. Everybody said that baby. Say that baby. It was the first time in biblical history that the Godhead clothed himself with personhood. Say that baby. Come on, say that baby. Turn around, look at somebody, say that baby was God in the flesh. Say that baby. That baby was in fact the Almighty God clothed in the flesh. Come on, say amen. Jesus, shout Jesus, the Yeshua HaMashiach. Drop over and say Yeshua. That's his name in the Hebrew. Shout his name, Jesus, the Yeshua, the Christ, to that baby. Jesus was born with a fourfold nature. He was spirit, body, and soul, like all other human beings. But the difference was he was perfect human spirit, body, and soul. And he was fourfold. Touch somebody and say, you were threefold. Say, you were spirit, body, and soul. Say, but this Jesus, he was fourfold. Say, he was spirit, body, and soul, and divine spirit. Oh, Lord. Yeah, everybody said that, baby. Everybody said that, baby. And his divine spirit from eternity dwelt in his human body. Amen, that baby. I said that baby was eternal. That baby was wonderful. That baby was the eternal counselor. That baby was the mighty God. That baby was the everlasting Father. That baby was the Prince of Peace. That baby, he was the mighty God. Turn around and tell somebody, that baby. Clap your hand and thank God for that baby. Come on, turn around and tell somebody, that baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. That baby. And that baby only. Let me say that baby. And that baby only. Put your little finger and say, that baby only. No other baby. No other baby ever been born shall be born like that baby. Suddenly say that baby. Yeah. That baby only. Amen. Was a monogenes. I say monogenes. John said he said the word became flesh and revealed himself as the monogenes, as the only begotten Son of God, the only one, the only person of that kind. Everybody say monogenes. Tap somebody say, that's why we believe in monotheism. He is the monogenes. Come on, shout and say, he is the only God of that kind. That nobody else's baby is God in human form. Give God a hand clap. God is that baby. I'm trying not to sweat. Everybody say, that baby. Walk around and touch them and say, that baby. I thank God for that baby. Born again child of God. Yeah. Are y'all still with me out there? Can I bring it home now? Is that all right with you? The eternal God who came all the way down and was born of a virgin, clothed. Y'all got to remember, in heaven he was just supernatural spirit. He was never called a personality in heaven. He took on personhood when he became a human. Come on, somebody. Did y'all hear what I said? Look at somebody. Say that child, stay in that same key you were in, never was called a person in heaven. He was called supernatural spirit in his glory. Can you say amen? Can you say amen? Amen. But that virgin born child, scripture says, and I'm saying, clothed his spirit self. He clothed his spirit self, amen, with his human self. Look at your neighbor and say, God clothed himself. Say, God clothed his spirit self. Tell your neighbor, he clothed his spirit self with his human self. Come on. Did y'all put your clothes on this morning? You clothe yourself with your clothes. Say God's clothing was his human self, clothed over his spirit self. Pop somebody say God clothed his spirit self with his human self. That's why he's the God-man. That's why he's the only one that can be the God-man. I'm so glad that he is God all by himself. Clap your hand. Shout hallelujah. I'm trying to close it. Deacon Tony, I'm trying to close it. Elder Mobley, I'm trying to close it. Elder God, I'm trying not to sweat. But I feel. I said I feel. Do you feel it? I feel an anointing. Shout hallelujah. Hey. Jesus in the manger. It's the same God that we read about in Genesis, the first chapter. Can y'all say amen? It's the same God who created the heaven and the earth. Everybody say he's the same God. Say he's the same God who created the heaven and the earth. Say he's the same God who created the solar system. Say he's the same God who created the planets. Say he's the same God that created, come on, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Venus, and Mercury. Say he's the same God. He's the same God who created the universe, who created billions of stars, who created the billions of galaxies. That's the same God. Clap your hands. I'm so glad. That is the same God. If you know that he's your God, say he's my God. Come on, proselyte, say he's my God. Say that's the same God. Yeah. Paul the apostle said, and I'm almost done. Paul the apostle said in Colossians, the first chapter, verse 16 to 17, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be throne or dominion, or principalities or power. All things were created by him and for him, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. Amen. And by him all things consist. What you're talking about, Paul. And by him he created everything, the galaxies, the billions of stars, the billions of planets, and by him all things consist. By him all things. You wonder why the sun and the moon is not falling down on you? The stars are not busting you across your head. You wonder why they're not crashing together? Everybody say all things. Say this Jesus is holding everything together. Amen. Say he's omnipotent. Say he's the omnipotent one, the all-powerful one. Amen. I like what Apostle Paul said, and y'all know it in 1 Timothy 3:16. He said, and without controversy. No need of you arguing about this. Paul looked at somebody and said, don't go back home and argue about this. Don't argue about this. He said, without argument. He said, great is the mystery of godliness. He said, God. Everybody say God. He said, that was God that was manifested in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in this world, received up into glory. Look at your neighbor and say, don't argue about that. Say, that's a mystery that God revealed to the Apostle Paul. I don't care what you think about it. Say, that was God. Say, that baby was God. Amen. The virgin birth of Jesus Christ is the Christmas story. He is the seed of the woman that bruised the devil's head. Let us say amen. And you ask me, when did he bruise the devil's head? He bruised the devil's head in his crucifixion. And the scripture said he led captivity captive in his resurrection. He loosed people. Come on, somebody. He loosed the saints that had died and was bound up in the grave and bound up in upper Sheol. Amen. He bruised the devil's head in his crucifixion, and he led captivity captive in his resurrection. Now, stand back up and look at somebody and say, the devil is defeated. Just want to tell everybody that. Said the devil is defeated. Find somebody and tell them the devil is defeated. Find somebody and tell them that. Say the devil is defeated. The devil is, tell somebody else, say the devil is defeated. The devil is defeated. By the virgin born Son of God, the devil is defeated. By God, who's the God man, the devil is defeated. Come on, tell about somebody, the devil is defeated. Jesus bruised his head. Amen. When Jesus bruised his head, tell your neighbor, when Jesus bruised his head. Everybody say his head. Tell your neighbor his head. Say when Jesus bruised his head, he gave him the fatal blow. Say he gave him the fatal blow. Say don't you worry about what you're going through. Walk around and tell somebody that the devil is defeated. Come on, say the devil is defeated. Say the devil is defeated. He rose from the grave with victory. Throw your hands up, say the devil is defeated by the virgin born Son of God. And we now have the victory. Do you believe that? Shout, the devil is defeated. And now, as a child of God, I have the victory. Walk around and tell somebody, I have the victory because the devil is defeated. The devil is defeated. Shout hallelujah. Shout hallelujah. Shout hallelujah. Shout hallelujah. Clap your hand. That's right, thank God right there. And I'm done. Have you been going through something? Have you been going through anything? I want to tell you in my ending, the devil is already defeated. And you already got the victory because we're living on the resurrection side of the cross. Clap your hands for that. He already, everybody said he already defeated your sickness. He has already defeated your shame. He has already, come on, defeated your problem. He has already, come on somebody, defeated your poverty. He has already, yeah, defeated your guilt. He has already, yeah, come on, clap your hands, yeah, yeah, I got the victory. I don't know about you, but I got the victory. Come on, somebody. Anybody want to lift up your feet and put them down? Just lift your leg up and put them down. Say, I got the victory. You want to shake the leg? Shake one. victory. Yeah. Hallelujah. 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 That's why you can tell the devil, get thee behind me, and don't you dare push. Amen. The virgin birth of Jesus Christ. You can stand again because I want to make an altar call. I just want to do that, and then we're going to change this part of the service. Maybe there's somebody here. God who created the heavens and the earth and all of the billions of stars, the sun and the moon. Let us, amen, lit up the light of the moon for the nighttime, for season, and the lit up the sun for daylight, for season. He's right here, right there, today to lighten up your life. He's here right now. If anybody here that want to receive Jesus Christ, because he didn't just do all that for himself, but point at somebody and say, he did it for you. He did it for you. He did it for you children out there, you young men. Right? He did that for you. He was virgin born, came in this world for you. Turn around, look at somebody and say, he did it for you. Say, he did it for you. Say, he didn't just do that for himself. Tell somebody he did that for you because he wanted to save you. That's why he came. That's why he gave his life. That's why he died on the cross. He did it for you. If there's anybody here that's not saved, you don't know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, can you come up right now if you're in this place? Or if there's somebody that needs special prayer, I want you to come up right now. Come down the side aisle and just walk right up here right now. I don't care what you need prayer for. Amen, healing or whatever it may be. Come on down. Come on down. Our minister's going to come and lay hands on you, anoint your head with oil. Come on down now. Anybody need prayer? Somebody searching for a job. Somebody tired of living the way you've been living. Somebody praying for someone else. Somebody standing in proxy for your children. Somebody standing in proxy for your neighborhood, for your wife, for your grandchildren, for one of your relatives. Somebody need a special door to pop wide open. If it's you, come on down here. You need a door. Somebody need a financial break right now. Somebody need God to accelerate favor on your life. Come on down here now because he's getting ready to do it. And it's starting today as they lay hands on you. Come on down here now. Somebody want to be broke free from alcoholism. Somebody want to break through from drug addiction. Somebody want to get free. Come on down here now. Come on down here. The devil has been defeated. As they anoint your head with oil. Come on down here now. God gonna change your life. Come on down here now. God gonna give you victory. Come on down here now. God's gonna do it in your life. Come on. Come on down here. Come on down here. In the name of Jesus. It's everybody said breakthrough time. Come on, watch. Start praising God while they pray for you. Say, this is my breakthrough time. This is my day. Come on, clap and say, this is my day. A breakthrough. My breakthrough time. My breakthrough. Come on, praise God now. Praise the Lord. Praise God as they pray. Praise God as they pray. As they pray. Come on, praise God as you pray. Come on, pray. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. His breakthrough time. His delivering time. His victory time. His victory time. Victory time. Victory, victory. Clap your hands. His victory.
mine. Victory is mine. Victory today is mine. I told Satan, get thee behind. Victory today is mine. Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory today is mine. I told Satan, get thee behind. Victory today is mine. Say victory, victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory today is mine. I told Satan, get thee behind. Victory today is mine. Say joy is mine, joy is mine, joy is mine. Joy today is mine. I told Satan, get thee behind. Joy today is mine.
Amen. Did you enjoy the word today? Did you get something out of the word today? Amen. Amen. We got to stand up for the word. And we got to combat the devil with the what? With the word. Let us say, amen.
Hello, WEHA listeners. This is Lisa Diane Hall, General Sales Manager here at WEHA 88.7 and 100.3 FM, where we have gospel and we have talk. We'd like to thank you for listening and sincerely appreciate your continued support over the last 10 years. Thanks to all of you, WEHA is now a 2-time Stellar Award-winning gospel radio station with a recording studio right here in your local community. As the newly appointed General Sales Manager, it is my goal to share my 20 years of experience in broadcasting and marketing with your church, business, or organization. I am pleased to announce WEHA's new community branding partnerships, where you have the opportunity to be heard on all of WEHA's platforms, including 2 FM bands, WEHAWeHaveGospel.com, and all of WEHA's social media pages, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. WEHA is currently seeking new Sunday morning programming and new talk shows. For more information or to arrange a WEHA studio tour, you can reach me, Lisa Diane Hall, at WEHA Studios at 609-641-8870. That's 609-641-8870. WEHA is Christ-centered, community-focused, and listener-supported.
You are listening to Christ-centered, community-focused, listener-supported gospel. 88.7 and 100.3 FM, Atlantic City, WEHA. Don't forget to follow us on social media by searching We Have Gospel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Find out more at www.wehavegospel.com.
Now walk
beginning and take your authority back. Come on, say it again, one more time. Say, I want it all back. My God is chasing me down, trying to bless me. And I ain't gonna let you take what's mine. I've come too far, been through too much. Hey, say it's mine. And you can't take it away. Take it away. Everything that I lost, I'm taking it all back. And you can't have it. Come on, say it. Give me back my stuff. I want it. We ain't playing games up in here. We declaring victory over your situation. Let's go. I want it all back. Everything that the enemy stole. All back. I want it all back. I know you've been through it. Hey, say it's mine. All mine. Now walk in it and you can have it. With everything that you got, point your finger and say, and you can have it. All right, and you can. I like that. And you can have it. All right, and you can. And you can have it. Come on. All right. Come on, let this be your war cry. And you can have it. Come on. That's it. And you can. Right now, open up your mouth and say, oh mine. I ain't gonna let you take from me no more. God's gonna give it back to you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. My God. That's it right there. Whatever you've been through, right now, I declare undeserving favor over your family, over your children, over your children's children. Right now, we declare we got the victory. We got the victory. We got the victory. And you can have it. And you can have it. Oh my God. You feel it? Hey. No, you can't have it. This sounds like victory. No, you can't have it. No, you can't have it. You can't have it. It's mine. Come on. Get your hands off. No, you can't have it. Come on. I like this part. 1, 2, 3. I'm taking my joy back. Come on. Yeah. I'm taking my peace back. Come on. I want my victory. And I want it now. Come on. Y'all ready? Let's go.
Bring a sacrifice unto the Savior, broken and contrite in spirit and truth. Our hands are parting you, our voice declaring you, our souls will leap and our feet dance for you. So
Sing of His goodness and sing of His mercy and sing of His kindness. He will set free. Sing of His power and sing of His glory and sing of His majesty. For He is free.
our hearts we lay down, our minds renewed and sound. Every knee shall bow down unto Thee. Hallelujah, we sing, honor belong to Thee. Please accept our true offering.